Our first story comes from Breitbart, exclusive. Facebook includes Candice Owens on hate agents list. Now, because Breitbart is somewhat contentious in terms of media, I'm going to do this. I have the NewsGuard rating system, which is not perfect, and while they do rate Breitbart with a red exclamation point, most importantly, they say Breitbart does not repeatedly publish false content. They just don't think they clarify errors or handle the opinion between opinion and news responsibly. And so long as Breitbart isn't repeatedly publishing false content, I think it's fair to go through this. And with an analytical approach, we can avoid any potential bias pitfalls. I will also add that this story is by Alam Bakari, who I know personally, not particularly well, but I tend to find his stories decently credible. So let's take a look at what's going on with Candice Owens. The story reads, Facebook maintains a list of hate agents for monitoring and potential termination according to a source inside the company. Among the names reportedly on the hate agent list, star pundit and black conservative activist Candice Owens. According to the source, a Facebook employee who spoke exclusively to Breitbart News, the spreadsheet of hate agents that includes Owens was posted to an internal employee discussion group initially founded by Brian Amerige, the former Facebook engineer who quit the company over concerns about political intolerance. The source claimed that the spreadsheet includes the names of prominent right-wing and alternative media figures who were recently banned from the platform. Apparently, Candice Owens is also included in the spreadsheet in a separate category marked extra credit. So I want to step aside now and mention a few things for important context. According to a former Facebook employee, my understanding, who did an interview with James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, They presented documents in this Veritas story showing that they deboost, they derank. Actually, I have the other story pulled up. A Facebook whistleblower says that the staff deboost unwanted content, and the same code was used on conservatives. People like Lauren Chen were considered to be, bad in some capacity. People like Steven Crowder. So, all of this seems to just point to what we already know, that yes, there's absolutely a bias against conservatives. And I also want to do something else before we move on and talk more about this issue of censorship and bias against conservatives, because I love when the left points to my content and asks why I focus on these issues. And I have a very simple explanation for those that are curious. For those that are listening, you can't really see this, but we have here my moral foundations test, right? This has to do with Jonathan Haidt's research on which moral foundations individuals are more likely to be following. And you can see that Mr. Tim Pool is left liberal. Care and fairness are my strongest moral foundations, but so is liberty. And liberty explains exactly why I take issue with censorship of conservatives. I do not believe in authoritarianism and the restriction of people or the censoring of individuals because you do not like their opinions. And that to me is not fair, and it is not free. And so those issues make me, more interested. I imagine that many of these people who are in favor of the censorship against Candice Owens, Steven Crowder, and other conservatives must be more care, harm, authority focused. That'd be my bet. But interestingly, they always claim to be anti-authoritarian, yet for some reason are okay or advocate for massive multinational billion-dollar corporations with foreign investors to silence American citizens. But I digress. Let's continue on the story. A Facebook spokeswoman confirmed to Breitbart News that the list exists and did not deny that Owens' name appears on it, but believes that there has not yet been an investigation into her. The spokeswoman also confirmed the hate agents list, which was created in April, was related to the high-profile bans of alternative media figures, including Paul Joseph Watson and Laura Loomer, that occurred on May 2nd. Breitbart's source was able to obtain a partial screenshot of the spreadsheet before the current owner of the discussion group began locking people out in response to the internal leak. Now, I want to point something out that's very important. Sounds like what they're saying is the list was created in April. We then saw the banning of several people like, Milo Yiannopoulos, Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer. Candice Owens was not banned. However, she did receive a suspension for saying that fatherlessness is a serious problem with the black. Well, what she actually said was poverty rate among blacks, poverty rate among whites, poverty rate among married blacks is 7%. And then she said, do not let liberal supremacists convince you that white people are the problem. And then she goes on to say that it's fatherless households. And this was, her account was locked for this. They later said it was an accident. So just to stress, Candice Owens does appear on this. We have a screenshot here, and you can see what appears to say hate agent. Now, the image cuts off the full word, but we can see the bottom of the letters, which does appear to say the words hate agent. We can then see it says extra credit. We should look into these after we're done with the above designated analysis. And then it's Candice Owens in a spreadsheet. Affiliated hate entities. Still active, yes or no? Facebook, Instagram presence. This is freaky. It's really freaky that Facebook, I mean, look, we're entering election season. We're about to enter a world with a permanent election cycle. It's getting crazy. Actually, I think everything's going to collapse, and I don't know. The everything's going to go to hell in a handbag. I'm somewhat facetious when I say this, but I don't see how a society can survive if it's a constant political cycle with the tribes becoming more and more insane and extreme. Like I don't know where it goes, but I was talking to another personality who told me that based on the responses they're seeing to what's happening with these pro-life bills in these various states, the responses do make it seem like it's going to escalate into actual physical conflict. But let's read some more of the story. Breitbart's source was able to obtain a partial screenshot of the spreadsheet before the current owner of the touch group locked people out. Yes, we read that part. The partial screenshot reveals that Owens' name is indeed on the list, along with the instruction for Facebook employees to look into her after we're done with the above designation analysis. The spreadsheet also appears to track with Owens, to track with Owens has or is associated with any affiliated hate entities. The source agreed that the extra credit category refers to individuals that Facebook has not yet banned, but is likely to investigate for potential hate speech violations and potential banning. This exclusive story was sent to Breitbart News on the same day that Owens mistakenly received a 7-day suspension from Facebook for criticizing liberal attitudes towards African Americans, a topic frequently raised by Owens in her public appearance. Her post called on Black Americans to wake up to the great liberal hoax and recognize that liberal supremacy is currently a greater threat to Black Americans than white. Right. For this post, Owens received a 7-day ban from Facebook. Facebook has since reversed the ban, stating that they restored her post and removed the block on her account after confirming the content didn't violate our policies. In a comment to Breitbart News, a Facebook spokeswoman said, "As we said earlier today, we mistakenly applied a temporary block to Candice Owens' account that we have since restored. We recently announced a group of people that we removed from our services for violating our policies. Candice Owens was not one of those people." But they also never really explained why someone like Paul Joseph Watson was banned. I received a message from, this was actually rather surprising to me. I'm not going to reveal who reached out to me, but someone unaffiliated with politics started asking me questions about Paul Joseph Watson getting banned. Somebody who was not a particular fan of Paul Joseph Watson. This is I guess I'll just clarify. Somebody reached out to me, and they're a very high-profile individual, and they said that kind of freaked them out. And what I think happens is, I would almost be willing to, I often joke that what the regressive, group, whatever you want to call it, the authoritarian left is doing, is black propaganda for conservatives. So let's break down the open, so they say when God closes a door, he opens a window. Let's break down what are the open windows in this circumstance. Well, for one, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Zuby, the rapper. He's the one who did the deadlift as a, saying that he was identifying as a woman and then broke the record and went viral. And a bunch of other things he's done. He's a rapper. He's got some good songs. I don't want to pigeonhole him. But he said something about the easiest way to make someone, walk away from the left or become conservative is to just have them follow some of these lefties on Twitter because they'll see how crazy they are. So let's think about what happens with the censorship. For one, Facebook's censorship of Candis Owens has pushed it out in the press. This may have been just a simple post seen only by her fans, but now it's become newsworthy. Streisand Effect. The other issue is that one of the things I often bring up, when you have two kids, here's the analogy I use, two kids, and you tell one you're not allowed to have ice cream, and the other one you can definitely have ice cream. Then all of a sudden, your significant other walks up and sees one kid is sparkling clean, and the other kid is covered in ice cream. They say, "Oh, that kid's a disgusting mess." The reality is, if you only censor the wackos on the right, it makes the right look good because they're cleaning up the right and they're making them presentable, right? And if you allow the left to run wild and say these crazy things, then the left looks like they're covered in muck and dirt and they're dirty. So this is, essentially a net benefit in the long run. Ultimately, I, as someone who strongly believes in the right of liberty, even for those who aren't that smart or who are, off their rocker or have dumb opinions, do not appreciate this regardless what the outcome is. But I say that as kind of, hey, there's an open window here. Perhaps they are destroying themselves when they do this. And I have to say, Conversations I typically have, as much as these wackos on Twitter would have you believe I hang out with the crazy right-wingers, I actually don't. I only actually hang out with liberal left-wing individuals who are not crazy and who are rather normal. And one of the conversations we often have is, we have no ground to argue for sane left-wing policies. We're socially liberal. We're, pro-choice. We believe, like Democrats, 10 years ago. Yes, we should have border security. Yes, we should have agencies. We shouldn't we should not have foreign wars. We should not, be empowering surveillance and government control and executive authority. These things should be curtailed. Many things typically associated with the left, socially liberal policy, but there's no ground for that anymore because the left that has run wild, because these platforms won't deal with it, don't allow voices like mine. They question why I would challenge their censorship of these conservatives. Well, I'll give you two reasons. For one, I believe in liberty. I believe in freedom. I believe in the right to free expression. That is paramount. It is not fair for, and let's talk about fairness. It is not fair for you to have double standards. I do not like that, as my moral foundations test shows. So then what ends up happening is, yes, I can stand on principle, but also point out the ridiculous result of cleaning up the right and leaving the left a mess. You have two rooms, a room called the right and a room called the left. And when the regular person has to decide which room they're going to go in, they look to the right and they see a bunch of people wearing suits, drinking coffee, saying, hey, it's spick and span, it's sparkling. You look on the left, it's a bunch of people wearing crazy-ass clothes, doing weird things, spreading their legs with little kids, taking off their clothes for money, and they're like, that's weird. I'm going to go with these people who are more professional. Not everybody, obviously. I do think we end up seeing a weird conundrum of people who just have to identify as left, wanting to be in the left-wing room. And it's funny when I see comments aimed at me where they're like, Tim's so desperate to be accepted by these people. Oh, absolutely not. Oh, please. I am a weird, roguish, hacker-type person. I hang out by myself. I've always been a loner. I was a loner in, I don't want to say in high school because I dropped out of high school, but like high school years. I have a skateboard. Skateboarding is very individualist. I like to be alone. I don't want to be surrounded by these crazy people who don't do research, who point the finger at everybody else and have, just do weird, crazy things. That's not everybody on the left, but they're being allowed to run wild. So I don't care for who accepts me or who doesn't. I absolutely have friends who are Trump supporters. I'll hang out with them. I don't care. I don't. I care about principle, and that should be obvious to everybody. Do I agree with Candis Owens? Somewhat, yes. She makes a really good point about married black families have a very low poverty rate. That's been brought up by many academics. Okay, great. Candis Owens, I'm hearing you. I'm listening. Why is she getting banned for that? I don't even, it's crazy. The conversations I see around, pro-choice and pro-life are not principled conversations coming from the left. The right, at least on Twitter, seems to have a cohesive argument. And the real argument, as brought up by many people, is that the real question is a fetus a life or isn't it? The left says no, the right says yes, and that's the real dividing line. However, I'll go back to my point about censorship. When you ban the crazes on the right, you are left with nothing but intelligent, suit-wearing individuals who say, I'd like to point out on a principled position X, Y, and Z. And then someone like me hears that and I say, that's a really good point. I look to the left and what do I see? Alyssa Milano saying nobody make love anymore. We're going to go on strike. And I'm like, that is not an argument and I have no idea what you're talking about. And this is one of the bigger problems for somebody who holds liberal positions when it comes to censorship. So I'll wrap this up. We don't want to go too long on this segment. Candis Owens is, on a list and she's staring down the barrel of complete and total banning. And now they're, look, it might happen. They did a temporary suspension. You can clearly see they're throttling, restricting, but it's going to backfire. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Facebook is trash anyway. Follow me on Minds at minds.com/Timcast because it's a way better platform. We're also, I'm going to be working alongside some of their people because we're going to be sharing a space. I just don't like the idea of these big tech oligopolies. And I'll end this segment by saying, if you want to support my work, you can go to timcast.com/donate. You can donate monthly. I accept cryptocurrencies. I have a physical address. Or you can just share these videos, click the like button. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around. More segments to come, and I will see you shortly.